Here's the second reason that people quit going to church. Because of some trouble that they encounter. It could be as a result simply of going to that church. You know, when my grandmother became a Seventh-day Adventist, my mother's mother, her husband was a professed Christian. He'd grown up in Europe and he had imbibed the liberal philosophy that was being taught at that time, which actually was the precursor of communism developing. He didn't really have a faith or trust in God's Word, although he professed to be a Christian. And he said to my grandmother, he said, okay, it's all right if you want to go to church, but why in the world you want to go to that church? Can you go to another church? Because people thought that Seventh-day Adventists, people that worship on the seventh day, were kind of crazy in those days. That was a long time ago. There were not very many Seventh-day Adventists in the whole world then. Because of some trouble that they encounter as a result of going to a church. Sometimes it is because of something that somebody in the church has said or done that has offended them. Many times I have wondered how many people will lose eternal life because they become offended over something. My brother used to talk about it when he was preaching. He said, if someday you are outside the holy city at the end of the Jerusalem and you're looking in, are you going to say, well, I'm here because of such and such an elder, such and such a deacon, such and such a person in the church, what they did offended me. Are you going to feel better about being on the outside because you were offended because of what somebody did in the church and therefore you quit? Does that make any sense? My brother used to say, I don't want to be on the outside of the holy city no matter what happens. But Jesus said that people get offended. They have accepted the gospel, but then some kind of trouble arises. And because of the trouble, they decided it's too much. I can't deal with that. I can't handle that. By the way, this is a fairly common reason that people leave the church. And if you talk to them, many times people in this situation will tell you that they're not offended. Like a member we had here one time, if you were on the church board at that time, you'll remember this distinctly. This person said to us, well, we love you, but we're not going to attend church here anymore. Somebody immediately challenged him from the church board, and they said, well, if you love us, why are you not going to attend church here anymore? Well, he really couldn't answer that question. That's not true. People leave because there's something that has offended them. They will say they're not offended, but they don't know their own heart. People don't ever quit going to church with no reason at all. Their feelings have been hurt. I've thought about this many times. By the way, are you aware of the fact, I'm sure you are if you've thought about it, Jesus Christ had feelings, and there were times when Jesus' feelings were hurt. Ellen White's very clear about this. There were times when Jesus' feelings were hurt because of the attitude and the behavior of his disciples. Let me tell you, friend, if Jesus had become offended because his feelings were hurt, we would all be lost. But thank the Lord, no matter how many failures people made, Jesus did not become offended himself. Every other people became offended, but he did not. A multitude of people will end up losing eternal life on account of the fact that their feelings were hurt. They became offended, so they left God's people. They quit attending church altogether, or sometimes, instead of quitting attending church altogether, they do what my grandfather told my grandmother to do. Don't go to that church. Go to one of these other churches. You see, sometimes when somebody comes here, and we study in this church, we study out of this book, and we study out of the Spirit of prophecy, because the remnant are going to have the testimony of Jesus, the Spirit of prophecy. So we study it. And when you study this book, the spiritual light becomes so intense. Some people say, I can't deal with that. And so they want to go to a church where the spiritual light is not so intense. And there are churches where the spiritual light is not so intense.